I love that Pearl's on her phone. Jesus, girl, get it together. Get off your phone, Pearl. Like, does she care at all? Why do I care more about Pearl's video than Pearl cares about her own video? She's just sitting here. This is lazy. This is lazy boots content, Pearl. God.
Candace is absolutely right here. Women do easier jobs and pick easier majors and then cry about getting paid less.
Do you have really just such a limited understanding of the world around you and like a limited experience on people, period, to think that all women do jobs that are like easier than this? I'm sorry. It just, God, get out of the basement, girls. This was like a 12-minute video and she only paused like 4 times. Like, is this transformative content or is this just lazy? I'm sorry, I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy. The majority of this video has been me talking. I don't know, is that too much? I don't know, it's just, I'm starting out here. I'm just some girl with a microphone and too many opinions. But yeah, I think that's lazy. Oh my God, we're both wearing pink. Oh, I love that.
Men tend to produce more than women in general. Not all. And also there's some very highly productive women. You know, I think I'm one of them. But in general, men are just work a little smarter, work a little harder. In general, there are exceptions. Yeah.
You have like, I'm sorry, I'm not calling her stupid, but you can't, maybe I am. I'm sorry. You can't be that dumb. Like, am I just like a feminist, woke, speak snowflake that I just think that is so wrong that I look at the way that most men work in society and that they do not work smarter or harder? I'm sorry. It's just not my experience. And like, even that is a sweeping generalization because I know men that work smart and hard and I know women that work smart and hard. And the through line is people who develop their sense of work. It's people who develop themselves, period, who are able to work harder and smarter. It has nothing to do with their gender expression. It just doesn't make any sense. Do these people, like, what do they do? Like, are they making money talking about this stuff? Lazy. I'm sorry, that was so lazy. She basically said nothing. She basically said, this is clickbait, this is rage bait, this is cringe bait, this is every kind of bait, this is every kind of motivation to get people to watch her video other than her being able to provide an actual nuanced take. Hello babies and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, hi, my name is David, and if you have been here before, thanks for joining me again. My name is still, in fact, David. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my series called Dismantling Hate, the series where I, your host David, walks you through some online hate. So we look at some religious fundamentalism, we look at some far-right extremism, we look at sexism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, all the things, because unfortunately there is no lack of hate out here on the internet. I do not want you to go to the comment sections of these individuals that we will look at here because I do not blur their faces because they do purport themselves as public figures. But that does not mean I want you to go and perpetuate this culture of hate that I and we are trying to dismantle. You see? How do they say it? Yeah, it's branding, honey. You get it. I may not have Michelle Obama's arms, but I do have her attitude because when they go low, we go high. And we need practice talking about these things because when we confront them in the wild, it can be very easy to become dysregulated. So we today are going to look at a longer form video of Pearl Davis, just Pearly Things if you've heard of her before. The last episode that I had here on this playlist, if you're interested to go watch after this one, we looked at Pearl's Davis's TikTok account and it was very disjointed and poorly made reels. I'm just going to say that. And I can say that because, well, I suppose anybody can say, I can say that because I'm a content creator as well. And I spend a lot of time putting together reels that will be cohesive for Instagram and TikTok. And I wasn't sure if this actually was the same person, but I found the same reels and shorts on her YouTube channel that is in fact verified. So today we're going to get into a longer video of Pearl. So I'm going to slide over and we're going to start this react right now. All right. So here is Pearl's YouTube channel. She has 1.98 million subscribers, which is, it's a lot. So let's look at her about. Pearl is one of the fastest growing YouTubers and cultural commentators in the world. Pearl hosts The Pregame, a dating and relationship debate show, Pearl Daily, a daily news and commentary show, and The Sit Down Show, a long-form interview podcast. She has amassed all of these things with her hard-hitting, irreverent social commentary. Sexist, you can say that. She has collaborated with the likes of Andrew Tate, Piers Morgan, Brittany Renner, and many other of the world's most influential celebrities and commentators. I don't know if influential is the word, but we'll get into that. To stay up to date, blah, 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 whatever. Oh wait, what did it say about comedy or satire? Wait. It says on the bottom, everything on this channel is comedy or satire. It says everything on this channel is comedy or satire. And if you know anything about Pearl Davis, that's not, wait, I'm confused. What? Everything on this channel is comedy or satire. Do you think she, okay, let's unpack it. Do you think she puts that there in order to like escape actually being held accountable for these really problematic takes, because listening to her talk, I do fully believe that she says, or that she believes the thing that she says. Everything on this channel is comedy or satire. Do you think that's there so she doesn't get in trouble? Or do you think that's the actual thing? Because people can create characters in order to get likes and rage bait people and like, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to find a video here to react to together. I don't know which one for the, it cannot be a 2-hour one. I'm not willing to do that here right now. All right, so I found the video that we're gonna watch. It is called Candace Owens Destroys Man on Equal Pay, and Pearl is reacting to it. So it's kind of similar content what I'm providing here, similar in the way of format, not actually like this is let me say this right now, this is not comedy. Well, it is comedy. A lot of the things I say are funny because I have a personality, but this is not satire, this is not satirical, this is not made solely for the purpose of making you laugh. The fact that I can make you laugh is just a nice little bonus and probably why you're coming back. However, we are going to be looking at this video that Pearl is reacting to by Candace Owens. Candace Owens is, I would say, a friend of the show, but she's not a friend. But we've looked at Candace Owens, I don't know, 3 times before on this channel. So if you're interested in my thoughts on Candace Owens, she does definitely fit into the same category as Pearl Davis as well. So go and click on my Dismantling Hate playlist and you'll be able to find those videos after you watch this one. It's only a 12-minute video, so let's see how long it takes me to get through it. So all right, let's go.
When you see a woman with a child, this is the most beautiful thing. He goes, you get men around there, they don't know what they're doing. And every single one of my girlfriends that now has children says the same thing. That it's easier when the man just leaves the house because it's like they have another child, right? And
like, okay, I know it's been 13 seconds and I'm already stopping it. This perpetuates the culture of men don't know how to raise children. And like, okay, we have generations of absentee fathers. Like if we look at the numbers on that, sure, that's absolutely the reality. Have I had that experience where like a lot of men can be really poor at child rearing? Sure. Does purporting that as fact and is the only possibility perpetuate this idea of men not being good fathers? Absolutely. Like yesterday, I was around a man who was like a very attentive, good father to like a 1-year-old and just like was an awesome dad. And like, it's possible, but you have to actually be taught. It's not that women are born being natural caregivers. I know women that are not natural caregivers, and I know men that are not natural caregivers. It has to be something that you are socialized to do. And from a very young age, a lot of women and girls are socialized into this caregiver role, right? Like if you have a 2-year-old and you're giving them dolls and like babies and they're like feeding with the bottle, and like that's teaching that caregiver role. It's not that they're born that way. Like there might be a little bit from the evolutionary perspective and like genetics and that, but it's not to the extent that these people think it is. It's because women and men are socialized in these roles in society. It's not nature, it is nurture. Okay.
And that's beautiful.
That was a tell. That was a tell. That was not a good tell. That right there, when she says stuff like that, that means that her friends run the relationships with their husband. What up, guys? Welcome to the Just Frilly Things YouTube channel. Today, I am going to be reacting to Candace Owens destroying a male feminist. Let's go.
I looked at some data.
I don't know if it's a male feminist, it's just feminist, because feminism means that you believe that men and women should be equal, not that one should be more than the other. It's so confusing because from the way that I heard Pearl just talk, it seems like Pearl doesn't like Candace Owens, but how do they not like each other? They say a lot of the same things. All right, let's see what this man, who I'm probably going to agree with, has to say.
A male feminist. Let's go.
Right.
I looked at some data when you were speaking about the gender pay gap in the UK and the US. So apparently it's 17% in the UK and 19% in the US.
No, it's not.
And it's WEF data, so
Yeah,
just look at
the myth of
maybe
the gender
World
pay gap.
Economic from in 2015.
Right.
In
So,
percentage.
happy to talk about this.
yeah,
Yeah,
this is
so
like,
my question is basically, what do you think are the causes of this?
It doesn't exist.
Well, no, there's a cause for it. I'll tell you what it is.
And do you think there should be public measures to tackle it? And yeah, the causes and the public
Fair
reaction.
question.
So
The pay gap is so over. I'm so tired of hearing about the pay gap. Women make equal money when we do equal work. Until we do equal work, we will not get equal money. Hey, guys.
And we're already in an ad. It just blows my mind that people actually pay to have their things advertised, because even if it was something that looked good, I immediately would be like, no, okay, get your teeth away from me like that, Pearl. No, I'm not attacking. We're going easy on the people and hard on the problems. Yeah, Pearl doesn't care about the pay gap because she comes from money. She literally grew up in a mansion and it's not equal work. Like you can literally... like you can, I like, sometimes I'm like, how far am I going to go into this? Like, I don't want to go like on a rant here and on tangents too much, but literally, I guess that's what this whole series is for. It's just institutional, like the pay gap is not just between men and women. It's because like the idea of intersectionality is a really big thing here too. Like queer people are inherently paid less, trans people are paid less, people of color are paid less. Like if we, like black women are paid so much less than white men. It's not just the idea of gender. There is like this idea of race and sexuality and religion. Religion doesn't really fit in there in the same way, because you don't wake up and choose to be black, but you do wake up and choose to be Catholic. Sorry, I said it and it's true. Anyway, it's not just a pay gap between men and women that's the problem. That is one that is talked about a lot, but there's more to that. But the only like thing that takes away from her being paid at the highest possible value is the fact that she's a woman, and she doesn't necessarily value herself as a woman as much as she does men. So she views that as okay, but it would be different. In my opinion, I think it would be different if it was had to do with race or other things. Anyway, let's see what she...
Future. And all the time, because obviously I'm like the anti-feminist, so people are always like, how can you deny the gender, the wage gap? Okay, so when I went to university, all of the girls that I was friends with were majoring in fashion and textiles and merchandising.
Well, then get yourself some different friends, girl. Like my friend group isn't organized like that. Is your friend group organized like that? Like, and that's not to say that that's a bad thing, but that just means that that is your experience. Saying that all women and girls are just like fashion and they just want to like play with dolls, and like no, sorry. I have friends who were in law school. I have friends who are I have feminine friends who are doctors and lawyers and business executives and dentists and do all of these things. Like your one experience doesn't overlay upon the entire world that we're just infantilizing women and girls here. Like, how do you not have the self-awareness to see that this hurts you as well, sister?
They all went off to Internet Vogue. And pick out Prada bags that maybe Kate Moss would wear on the cover of
Stop it. This is not Devil Wears Prada. God, it's been a while since we looked at Candace Owens, and it hasn't been long enough. She's not really, I don't know if I'm pausing too much for this, but this is an incredibly transformative content. But like, Pearl, come on, girl. Why aren't you stopping this? Probably because she believes this stuff, I guess.
The average pay for that, if you want to be in fashion, when you get out of school, is $20,000. Men were majoring in business and engineering and things that when you get out of school, you get paid more. If our interests, if we're going to go in and we're not going
Is she really, like, I know she might talk about this later, but is she really that stupid that she thinks that people purporting the issue of the pay gap are like looking at two different jobs? That's not the issue of the pay gap. It's two people doing the same exact job not being paid the same thing. It's not like people who work for Vogue are getting paid less than doctors and that's the wage gap. That would be stupid if people said that. That's not what's being said here on the grand scale. Different jobs garner different wages, and that's a completely unrelated conversation to the gender inequality gap or the racial inequality gap or the sexual orientation inequality gap. I'm kind of making up these phrases, but you understand what I mean. It's not like, she's not that stupid. She can't be that stupid.
Making serious majors, and we're shocked when we find out the world doesn't need more people to pick out Prada bags for Kate Moss's shoot. I mean, that's not a gender wage gap. That's an interest gap, right? And that's what's happening. Also, women, we have different interests. Women aspire to get married, aspire to have children. They leave the work.
No, not all women do. Gross. I know a lot of women who do not aspire to do that. It doesn't. Oh my God, it does. Again, like, Pearl, say something, girl. This is your channel. What is going on? This isn't even a Pearl reaction anymore. This is just a Candace Owens nonsense reaction.
Earlier, every single one of my girlfriends, what I'm saying is that a person that is a brain surgeon should not get paid the same amount as a person that wants to pick out Prada bags for the rest of her life.
Like, okay, working in fashion is not just picking out Prada bags for the rest of your life. Like, people who work in fashion have very important jobs. The fact that you're sitting up there in any sort of clothing indicates that you participate and require the use of people who work in fashion. So that doesn't make sense. Nope. I am not going to attack people's personal style because that's not what we're here to do. That is a red herring, and we're here to go easy on the people and hard on the issues. The problem here is that, yeah, she's right. People who are a brain surgeon, in my opinion as well, should be paid more than people who work in fashion, because it all has to do with how much time you've spent in your education and the idea of things being so life or death. Like, if you are put through the stress of actually operating on somebody's brain, you should be paid so much. You should be paid so much. You should be rich, girl. But also, that doesn't mean that the people that work in fashion shouldn't be paid a livable wage. That doesn't mean that the people that work in any kind of job that people deem as less than, it doesn't mean they shouldn't make a livable wage. Everybody should be making a universal basic income, which I know these people would disagree with, but it just, that's not what we're talking about. That's not a wage gap. Like she said, that is an interest gap. That's a job gap. But two brain surgeons, no matter where they work, should be paid the same thing. And I don't think that's really regulated in the same way. But it might be. I don't know. These people aren't even talking about what they say they're talking about. And it just, because they actually talk about the issues that they think they're talking about, they don't have anything to say. They're just kind of saying whatever the hell in order to keep your attention. So people hate watch, and it's working because here we are. Pearl, girl, I'm dying. Say something.
What's going on in America. When you look at the wage gap, they're not telling you what the jobs actually are and what women are going into in terms of their majors in university. When you're taking Feminist Dance Class 101, you're not going to make six figures.
Feminist Dance Class 101. I mean, that's what I took in university as well. I've spent 6 years so far in a university, and it's been a lot of Feminist 101 dance classes. So where are your dancing skills then? How did you get into sitting here being sexist? Well, she's not even being sexist. Well, actually, no, she is being sexist. How did she take that? She took too many Feminist Dance Classes 101. I'm losing it. Pearl, girl.
When you go out of university, that's just the...
Yes. Candace is absolutely right here. Women do easier jobs and pick easier majors and then cry about getting paid less.
Do you have really just such a limited understanding of the world around you and like a limited experience on people, period, to think that all women do jobs that are like easier than this? I'm sorry. It just, God, get out of the basement, girls.
Oil rig. You can get paid a lot. I'm good. I'll just stay on my YouTube. I'm good.
You get paid a lot of money. Well, I don't know if she can necessarily monetize these either. Am I commenting too much, or is Pearl commenting too little? This doesn't seem like transformative content for Pearl. It seems like she's just agreeing. Like,
I mean, if there was a real feminist movement would talk about that, would say, hey, if you want to make as much as men, maybe we should be majoring in engineering and things like that. But we don't, because we have different interests.
That's literally what pay gap means. People, like a man and a woman who are doing the same job, aren't being paid the same thing. Usually, typically, the numbers and statistics suggest as such. So you're like arguing against an argument that doesn't exist. That's not what that man said in the beginning. You're just talking out your hoo-ha.
Fine. But you then can't complain and think that we should now have a society that forces, what are we going to do? We're going to have like a government that says now we have to pay women that want to go into fashion 6 figures to make them feel good and like they're doing things that are productive.
That man must be so confused. Like, that's not what he said. What did he say?
Like that's not a practical solution. If we want to get serious, if women want to make more than men, they do. It's actually been proven statistically in America that when they go into the same majors and take on the same jobs, women get paid more than men in those particular fields.
Like I realize I'm speaking as well without research, like to prove, but I just like where they might be talking about proof here.
I'm gonna comment on this in a variety of different ways. Google, for example.
Women. A man is talking.
Pay equity audit 2 weeks ago.
That was last week.
And Google said we must go after gender-based wage discrimination. Turns out that men were being significantly underpaid at Google, so they dished out $9 million in bonuses to men at Google.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Men tend to produce more than women in general. Not all. And also, there's some very highly productive women. You know, I think I'm one of them. But in general, men are just work a little smarter, work a little harder. In general, there are exceptions. But yeah.
You have like, I'm sorry, I'm not calling her stupid, but you can't. Maybe I am. I'm sorry. You can't be that dumb. Like, am I just like a feminist, woke, speak snowflake that I just think that is so wrong that I look at the way that most men work in society and that they do not work smarter or harder? I'm sorry. It's just not my experience. And like, even that is a sweeping generalization because I know men that work smart and hard and I know women that work smart and hard. And the through line is people who develop their sense of work. It's people who develop themselves, period, who are able to work harder and smarter. It has nothing to do with their gender expression. It just doesn't make any sense. Do these people, like, what do they do? Like, are they making money talking about this stuff? I'm so confused.
Women are being overpaid. A couple things. First of all, if you just lazily, as some of the studies that you referenced, not you're being lazy, but the studies are lazy, extrapolate all the women and all the men at a certain age and don't take into account how long they've been in a job, what they studied, their experience prior, the gender wage gap in the States does exist. But if you take in women that study the same stuff as men and are in the workforce at the same time as men, they actually earn 106 cents of the dollar more, meaning 6 cents more than a man does in the States. Candace made it really important. In the States, if you look at the 5 majors that are the highest performing majors, the 5 majors that are 5 lowest performing majors. So roughly the 5 highest performing majors in the United States of America: petroleum engineering, business, finance, things of that nature.
Finance.
They're 80 to 90% more or less dominated by men. There's only one major that are dominated by women, a single out of the five. If you look at the five worst performing, pre-K education, things of that nature, elementary school education, almost 80 to 90% dominated by women because they naturally will make different choices because they're biologically
We're just biologically different.
It's not natural or biological. It's the way that women are socialized, like I said before.
Really quick, women are also...
Can I just go back to that? Because I find it a very interesting point you're making, the interest and the biologically
it's backed up
making.
by a Cambridge study.
Can you just elaborate on this? Because I would tend to disagree about the biologically part of the. For instance, woman, you say the gender gap doesn't exist, and that woman would be more inclined to do a fashion degree rather than a business degree. And
women and men are different. Yes.
I'm going to say some things that you probably.
Yeah, they keep cutting him off because he's actually saying things that are going to. That they're not, oh God, that's annoying. But people do that. If you say things that they can't argue with, they're just going to like, yeah, again, it's giving middle school playground.
Expression you hate, but social construct.
And no, we have evidence of this though. Look at the Scandinavian countries. They tried to get rid of this. They actually allowed teenagers to choose which do you want to get in the STEM fields or not? And the data actually showed that women naturally wanted to go towards when they.
Well, no. There's so many logical fallacies. I'm sorry. You can't be that dumb. People can't be that. Sorry, I'm going hard on the issues and easy on the thing. If you socialize people to if you socialize women to be nurturers and feminine and whatever, and you socialize men to be like dominant in engineering and working in the oil fields, and then all of a sudden, but how can you give somebody a choice? He said that in the Scandinavian countries, they gave them a choice. If you've been socialized to make a choice, and then they're like, oh, just so you know, there's no pressure and you can make whatever choice you want. No, we're going to love you either way. They're going to take the one that they have experience with. They're going to take the one that they've been socialized to believe in, even if there is this perception of choice. The true study here would need to be raising people without socializing them to participate in gender norms and then see what choices they would make. It's not, women and men are biologically different, yes, but it is not necessarily the structure of the human brain that is that different. It is the association of hormones on the human brain. So testosterone and estrogen. It's not in the way that they're saying, and they're saying honestly nothing.
Try to make this society totally equitable, and they try to get rid of these gender roles. Women still, because of the biological predisposition towards nurturing.
No. It's the socially predispositioned. I don't know if that's a thing, but it's the way people are raised. It's not necessarily that. There is like a biological thing, like to a point, obviously, like if you're somebody with a uterus who's giving birth, like you're going to be probably naturally, maybe, I don't know, and I have experience with this, you would probably be more nurturing to that individual that you literally created yourself. Doesn't that just logically make sense? But like overall, if you don't have a child, would you be more nurturing naturally to just children in the world? I don't think so. Oops, I know lots of women, and some of my closest friends are not natural nurturers because they're women. Well, they're just not natural nurturers, period, and they also happen to be women. And I have male friends and I have non-binary friends who are naturally nurturing and this and that. I'm one of those people. I am a natural nurturer, and not natural. I am somebody who is very nurturing, and it's not because I am biologically predispositioned for that or not, because these people would perceive me as male because I have a deep voice and a beard. It's not that I'm going against the grain of being a nurturer as somebody who was assigned male at birth. It's just part of who I am.
Nurture.
They go to nursing.
You guys know what I think about this. You guys know, I don't have to say it. I don't believe it. I think we go towards them because they're easier. I think women just like the easy stuff. I know. Pearl's a bad guy. I don't think we're more nurturing.
Studies against that.
Okay, well, I don't think they're more nurturing naturally easier. Sorry, I don't think they're more nurturing naturally, but it doesn't necessarily need to be easy. Are we saying all women are lazy? I know lazy people of every kind. I really do.
But women are not more inclined to be nurturing.
110% we are. 110%.
Sweden is the example of it. You're just wrong.
It's just true.
But based on what? What studies?
There was a study done by Cambridge scientists that demonstrated that men naturally revert to environments that require more structure, such as politics and the professions that you mentioned. And women naturally revert to professions such as teaching, which require more empathy and emotion. This is just a natural thing.
It perpetuates a culture where men don't have to practice empathy in their daily life. And for if any example, I love that Pearl's on her phone. Jesus, girl, get it together. And like arguably politics would require more empathy than teaching, and I think that's probably why our world is the way that it is right now. For the love of God, get some empathy in politics.
It's important not to. It's important not to say that women should be forced into those roles, but you do have to accept
that we naturally do.
We naturally revert to them.
They might be seen as they naturally revert to those roles because they have been pushed into those roles and have been socialized as such for decades. That's why that intergenerational stuff still exists in all of the women that seemingly have a choice today. Like the role of epigenetics is an intergenerational trauma, like that. All of that stuff is real. It perpetuates these gender stereotypes, even if these people have the perception of choice that they do today. And only in some points do they actually have that choice.
It's just true. I'm just telling you, like, even if you said, I'm telling you every single woman that I went to university with versus every single man, there's just a difference in terms of the...
I'm sorry, that's not true. Where did you go to university, girl? That doesn't make any sense. It's just not true. It's just not true. It's just not true. Like, I can't say that her experience isn't true, but it's just not the typical. It's just not, get off your phone, Pearl. Like, does she care at all? Why do I care more about Pearl's video than Pearl cares about her own video? She's just sitting here. This is lazy. This is lazy boots content, Pearl. God.
We're picking it. We're not forced to pick certain majors. We just aren't forced to. So
yeah, but the structure of society does kind of force you into a lot of those things. Like, it's just...
What you're seeing is the result of people picking their different interests, right? And unfortunately, the other part of your question was
gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Should we do something in society to even it out? We don't have to do anything in society to even it out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
Do you think there's a biological difference between a man and a woman?
I do believe indeed there's a biological difference between...
Yeah. See, these are what I call men with the minds of some women. Not all women, some women, YouTube. Because, I mean, you can just tell. It's like he's taking... And this is why people think that I'm mean when I call guys simps. But I call them simps because it's like when I think of simps, I think of men with female brains almost.
And women...
Men with... I need to hear that again. What did she just say? That didn't add anything.
And this is why people think that I'm mean when I call guys simps. But I call them simps because it's like when I think of simps, I think of men with female brains almost.
And women, but when it comes to interest, I do more believe that...
I do not understand what she just friggin' said. It makes no sense, and that was stupid. And again, this man's actually going to ask a good question, and they're already interrupting him. He's like 6 words into his sentence.
To follow, without don't mean to, interrupt rudely, but...
You do, and you've been doing this whole time. Why are you taking questions if you're not even going to listen to what these people are saying? Oh, God, these people are acting like idiots. They're not necessarily idiots, but they're saying stupid things.
Biological difference is, do I have more adrenaline? Do I have more testosterone than she does?
Yeah, because of Yes, but having more testosterone doesn't equate to any generalization that is true for anybody who has higher testosterone. There are
I think, yes, indeed.
Do you think that testosterone could drive you to do different interests and things?
Well,
what is an interest, though? That's the point here, is that testosterone does have effects upon a body that is different from the effects of somebody who has more estrogen than testosterone, but that doesn't mean that it drives your interest. That makes no sense. That's limiting, and that's sexist.
Good, indeed. Do you believe that? The thing is...
So maybe a man might be more like a weightlifter, serve in the army, be a police officer, a firefighter.
Okay, but are we talking about interest now, or are we talking about like physical ability? Because the presence of testosterone does aid in like strength and muscle composition and being able to maintain muscle on the body. So like, are we doing weightlifting because we're interested in it, or are we doing weightlifting because we might be better than our peers who have higher estrogen than we do, right? It doesn't really, if you start to pull back the logic, it all falls apart. Like, is it what you're better at, or is it what you're interested in? Because those are often two different things.
There's more estrogen. Might want to be a nurturer, preschool teacher. Do you see how biology...
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I agree with her, but not for the reason, because she thinks that teaching is easy. And you know what? That was probably the culture she was raised in. Her teachers probably thought it was super easy too, and that's why she turned out like this.
Another question, do you think it's desirable for the society, this kind of...
Of course.
I love it, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love the yin and the yang. I think men and women are symbiotic. It's beautiful. It's biblical, and it's something that we should stop trying to act.
It's biblical. It's biblical. It's biblical.
We work to force and destroy at a certain point. I love it. And I did a podcast. I was interviewing John Boyd, who you guys might know. He's Angelina Jolie's father, and he was talking about this like biblical, beautiful thing that our society is currently trying to destroy. And he said the thing that I see over and over again in my life, and it's nice because he's 80 years old now, so they have that wisdom when they get old. And he said women just know.
Not all people, and whatever broad generalization she's gonna say
to do when they have children. He's like, they just know. It's so.
I'm sorry, Candace. I just don't think you're right on this point, because women know how to freaking kill their kids like there's no tomorrow. 1 out of 3 women had an abortion. Women are the most.
Oh no, that's not. No, girl, no, that's not it. That's not killing. I'm sorry. Having an abortion, like, I understand why she says it's killing your child, but you're not killing your child. Abortion is not murder. Get out of here. Everybody needs, I don't know if I've said this in this video before, but just so you know, everybody deserves to do whatever the hell they want with their own body. Everybody deserves that bodily autonomy. You do whatever you need to feel safe, girl, honestly.
He wants to abuse children. If we have this natural nurture.
Really interesting thing, though. I saw somebody else, I saw Pearl on an interview here with another person, so I can't take credit for this idea, but Pearl likes to purport the idea that women engage in more abusive behavior to their children than men do. But it's a fallacy because statistically women spend more time around children. So it's that idea of like, yeah, my whole job is keeping the alligators out of the sewers in the city. I'm like, well, there never were any alligators in the sewers in the city to begin with. So am I really good at my job, or did I just make something up? I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of getting brain rot here at the end.
I don't know. I know everyone says, oh, I would only trust my kids with a woman. I prefer a guy in pretty much everything.
I wouldn't trust a man or a woman differently just based off of their gender. I would do it based off of my experience with that person. And it's very immature just to like blindly say, yeah, I would rather, but if I had to choose, if it was a man or a woman and I wasn't able to see and it was like some weird random Sophie's choice, I don't know, I would probably pick a woman. I would. Does that make me sexist? I don't know. Yeah.
In general, not all, no.
When you see a woman with a child, it's the most beautiful thing. He goes, you get men around there, they don't know what they're doing. And
because they don't have practice. You can't believe that. It's because they don't have practice. It would be like getting me on a pair of ice skates and being like, yeah, they can't. I keep saying he because I know these people wouldn't respect my pronouns. They would be like, yeah, he can't skate because he's a man. I'm like, no, I can't skate because I don't have practice, girl. Like, it's just not that.
Every single one of my girlfriends that now has children says the same thing. That's easier when the man just leaves the house because it's like they have another child, right?
But then how you just send them away because you don't see that they're good at that, but then they never actually learn to do that. How do you not see this like perpetuating itself? You are part of the problem here.
And that's beautiful.
That was a tell. That was a tell. That was not a good tell. That right there, when she says stuff like that, that means that her friends run the relationships with their husband. I would say that's probably not uncommon in her circles. I would guess.
And feminists make you think.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with the language that she said, but yeah, women shouldn't be sending their husbands out of the house because they're trying to like parent their child and don't know what to do. Like, it needs to be an equal partnership. It doesn't need to be one person running it on either side. I think that's a problem, and that leads to divorce. I whisper that because Pearl doesn't think that should be accessible to people. Pearl doesn't like people making their own decisions, which is interesting because like she's a woman out here making her own decisions and like purporting these things on YouTube. So even by her own example, she shouldn't exist, which is weird.
Nothing wrong with that. Like, make him do this and do that. And it's like, yes, there are certain things that we innately know how to do. And when I see a child, I instantly know how to take care of them. That's just something.
That's so stupid. That is so stupid. That is so stupid.
That's innate and it's biological.
It is not innate. It is not biological.
Maybe I don't.
I know you don't have the data and the facts because I don't support what you're saying.
The data and the facts are described to you that I can prove that this is a thing, but it is. It just is a thing.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
Know why society wants to destroy that or force it in a different way. And
because it upholds capitalism and the exploitation of essentially everybody, but women and girls are on the top of that list.
And the people that are innate and know what to do when they see children. There's something really beautiful.
I can be a caregiver, and if I was like handed a child to babysit for like the rest of the day, I would be able to do that flawlessly. Why? Because I have experience. Because I have experience with children. I've been a teacher. I've been a camp leader. I've done that. I've been in a caretaking, educated role around children for over a decade. That's why I'm able to do that. Was I like that in the beginning? No, I was really bad at being in this educative, nurturing role. I was bad at that. Not because I was born a man, but because I didn't have practice. You're telling me that Pearl would be a good babysitter? No, she wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know that. Maybe she would be. I'm trying not to make sweeping generalizations, but actually, no, I'm going to take that back. I would not leave my children with Pearl. She probably wouldn't be a good nurturer just because she's a woman. It's probably because she doesn't have practice.
Spiritual about that. That should never be disrupted.
Anytime somebody brings up spirituality and like gender is because of the Bible, I'm like, run so far, run so fast. This person has no thoughts for themselves. They have to be looking at a satirical, fictional, maybe not satirical. They're taking all of their life advice and things from a book, from a fake book that was written how many years ago that was an interpretation of an interpretation that is now used to infantilize women and girls.
Thank you.
Well, guys.
This was like a 12-minute video and she only paused like 4 times. Like, is this transformative content or is this just lazy? I'm sorry, I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy. The majority of this video has been me talking. I don't know, is that too much? I don't know, it's just, I'm starting out here. I'm just some girl with a microphone and too many opinions. But yeah, I think that's lazy. Oh my God, we're both wearing pink. Oh, I love that.
So I thought she was right in the first half of the debate. I thought she was wrong in the second half. I am of the unpopular opinion, and please don't paint this as the whole red pill thinks this, which is what I think. I don't think women are more nurturing than men. I think we're just really good at making ourselves look good. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you like the video on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next time.
That was so lazy. That was so lazy. I'm sorry, that was so lazy. She basically said nothing. She basically said, this is clickbait, this is rage bait, this is cringe bait, this is every kind of bait, this is every kind of motivation to get people to watch her video other than her being able to provide an actual nuanced take to the conversation, and hopefully that's what I provided for you here. So besties, thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode of Dismantling Hate. If you enjoyed that, click on the playlist. I've been told it's very bingeable, so go there and spend time in there if that's something you're interested in. Leave a like on your way out. I like how Pearl said that. But yeah, remember to go hard on the issues and soft on the people, because honestly, I would say that Pearl might be a nice person in real life. And I am going to give her that benefit of the doubt, although I don't fully believe that, but it doesn't matter and I don't care. So yes, do not go lead these people hate. Do not perpetuate this culture of hate that we are working so hard to dismantle here. So again, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, goodbye.